So this is more to the for the next chapters in terms of the sourcing decision. So why I go to chapter 14? Because this is related to your group projects. I think if you know and understand about this, then you are going to have a some thought and ideas and how you are going to do your group project. Okay, so this is we call it as a sourcing decision in a supply chain. All right, so outline for the topics, you are going to learn about the role of sourcing, the scoring, okay, supplier scoring and assessment. Okay, this is going to be a part of your group's project, doing the scoring and assessment. But then what I'm going to teach you is not limited to that. Means that the scoring, the types of scoring, the thing that I'm going to teach you is not limited to what I'm teaching. So you can go to other scoring assessment as well. All right. So and then supplier selection and contracts, design collaboration, the procurement process, sourcing planning and analysis, making sourcing decision and practice, and also summary of learning objective. Okay. So I don't think that we can finish today, but then at least you have a visual on that, yeah, on this topic. So the role of sourcing in a supply chain. Okay, so we have purchasing. Okay, if you are in the company, right, any types of business, right, name it, electronics or food and beverage, you are going to always meet purchasing group. Okay, so the purchasing group is one of the department or division that the function is to acquire and select the raw materials, right? So let's say, for example, if you want to manufacture a car, so the metal sheet from the vendors, okay, have to go through the purchasing stage, okay, before they allow you to procure that metal sheet from vendors, for example. Okay, so purchasing also called as a procurement. Right, procure. Dalam bahasa Melayu kita panggil perolehan, procurement. Okay, it's the process by which companies acquire raw materials, components, product, service, or other resources from suppliers to execute their operation. Okay, this is the first I might say that this is a front liner for you to receive and have a resource. Okay, resources, any resource, raw materials, anything. Okay, machine. If you want to buy a machine, so you have to go through them as well, purchasing and procurement group. Okay, and then the other one is sourcing. Sourcing is the entire set of business process required to purchase goods and service, whether to outsource or perform in-house. Okay, so the other one is planning. All right, product planning and control, PPC. Okay, or some of them they falls under supply chain group. So they are doing this kind of sourcing. Okay, which is they calculate the purchase of good, they calculate the service, any types of service, meaning that deliveries, receiving, checking, and others of the service that related to the process. And then they are deciding, okay, whether it is good for them to do outsourcing or maybe they have to perform in-house. Okay, so this is different types of groups, okay, in a company, but you have both, right? Okay, and then the third one is outsourcing result in the supply chain function being performed by a third party. Okay, when we talk about outsourcing, you talk about third party. All right, so who is your third party? Okay, normally vendors. Okay, normally maybe subcontract. Okay, let's say, for example, you are not keen to invest in preparation of some components of your products. Okay, maybe you can ask outsourcing to perform the process to you. Okay, you are going to charge them. They are going to charge you, and you get the final sub assembly products, and your site just only need to install to your parents product, your whole products. Okay, so let's say, for example, you want to outsource the sub assembly of front bumper of your cars. Okay, you sub to another vendors. So vendors do that painting and do that kind of sub assembly of all the related components surrounding the bumpers, and then you are going to receive the bumpers on a set, okay, which is pre-assembly. And then what you guys do in the production, you just take a bumper and fix to the cars. That's it. Okay, rather than you have to do all the painting of the bumpers and then install all the components surrounding the bumpers. So you are not going to do that. Okay, but then it has pros and cons on that. Okay, the pros is you are going to save your resources. For example, manpower. Okay, facilities, areas. Okay, you are not going to do that. Okay, and then you can have an extra spaces, okay, or areas, and then you can do another business. Okay, that's the pro. What is the con is you have to pay a little bit expensive because you ask somebody to do that process for you. Okay, so you have to pay a bit. Okay, but then there is always have what we call it as a trade-off. Okay, which is most favorable, okay, for the companies. All right, so that's depend on the decision of the company. Okay, that's, we call it as an outsourcing. Okay. Okay, so in the company, okay, purchasing and also and sourcing department, both, if you work at the engineering companies, these two division, okay, most of their staff, the background is from engineering. Okay, mechanicals or electricals. So each of the backgrounds will place into each of specific products. For example, if you are expert in electrical, if you work in a car company, you are going to sit and to fall under a purchasing group in terms of electrical parts. Okay, if you are more to the stamping, so you are going to sit falls under purchasing on the stamping raw materials, for example. Okay, because you are the expert and you know what kind of process happen in the factories. Okay, so purchasing and sourcing, normally they are going to appoint someone who have an experience. Either they have an experience in the factories before, or maybe they have an experience in the factories outside from what you have, outside of your factory. Okay, so and also they appoint someone who just a fresh from the university as well. Okay, but then okay, I just want to open your mind that those kind of jobs, okay, is another alternative for you. Okay, if you are not be able to join a pure engineering field or business, okay, you can join purchasing and sourcing as well. Okay, so because they want that kind of background, okay, of stuff, right? So they are not hiring people who have an expert in accounting. No, they are not going to appoint that. Okay, so they are going to appoint someone who have experience, especially in engineering. Okay, so senang cerita, to be honest, they have to do that because they are dealing with someone outside there who are going to bid for the project. Okay. Okay, so if you are in the companies that you don't have any ideas of what is going on, you can easily get scam lah, okay, from the vendors. Okay. Okay, right, guys. And then the rules of sourcing supply chain address the outsourcing and supply chain activities by a firm based on the following 3 questions. Okay, so that's why if you want to address the outsourcing activities for your supply chain, okay, so three questions you have to ask. Number one, will the third party increase the supply chain surplus relative to performing the activity in-house? Okay, are they going to increase the supply chain surplus? Okay, so you have to do your job. Ada internet. Dengar tak suara saya? Okay, so, tiba-tiba dia putus line. Dah hilang pula saya punya ni. Okay, so you have to make sure what is the maximum of supply chain surplus you have to have in your inventory. Okay, because you are not controlling that. Okay, so you have to have an extra precaution on avoiding a shortage. Okay, a shortage of part supply in your assembly line. Okay, so number 2, to what extent do risks grow up outsourcing? Okay, so there is a lot of risks that you need to consider. Okay, we are going to learn that later. And are there a strategic reason to outsource? Okay, what is the strategic reason? Is it for short term? Maybe it is for mid term. Okay, or maybe it is for long term. Okay, is it strategic? Okay, so how far the vendors from your company? Okay, so the material resources planning, how they want to acquires all the materials. Is it reachable, or maybe the third party's location is far away from the urban area? Okay, then it has a difficulties for the lorries to enter the premises because you have to go to not only highway, but you have to use your use the state roads, okay, or maybe a district road, okay, which possible for them to follow the timetables of the delivery. Okay, so you have to investigate before you decide to whether this is for outsource or this is okay for in-house. Okay, and then the next one is sourcing process include supplier scoring. Okay, all right, and then supplier selection and contract negotiation. Okay, design collaboration, procurement, sourcing planning, and analysis. This is a process, okay, of sourcing. Okay. Okay, so what is the benefit of the effective sourcing decision? Okay, sourcing, you have to understand, sourcing, we have two. You have to in-house, or maybe you want to outsource. Okay, you have two kind of option. Okay, so who's going to do this kind of decision, which is the procurement and also the sourcing division, sourcing department. So both, they have a powers to give an advice to the CEO of the companies. Okay. So number one, better economy of scale can be achieved in orders are aggregated. So if you aggregate your sourcing, okay, you have a better economy of scale. Okay, means that you are not depending only one sourcing, or maybe you are not depending on the you as a wholly owned process. Okay, so you get a better economy of scale. You give a project to other people's, okay, other business can grow. Okay, so you give some of the economy of scale. And then number two, more efficient procurement transaction can significantly reduce the overall cost of purchasing. All right, so you may have a set of system, all right, of doing a transaction. Okay, you have this kind of experience. Let's say, for example, you have experience of outsourcing. Okay, you have maybe you use a Siemens software. Okay, for MRP, Materials Resources Planning, Siemens ERP system, Enterprise Resources Planning. Okay, so you can efficiently do the transaction. Okay, and you are going to reduce the cost of purchasing. Okay, and design collaboration can result in products that are easier to manufacture and distribute, resulting in lower overall cost. Okay, this is one of the benefit as well if you have an effective sourcing decision. Okay, and then number four, good procurement process can facilitate coordination. Right, so good procurement process can facilitate coordination with suppliers. Better coordination lowers inventories and improve the matching of supply and demand. Okay, so if you have a very good procurement process, means that you know when to order, how much you have to order. Okay, so you have a clear direction of what how big is your magnitude in terms of your volume. Okay, so means that you have a better coordination with your vendors, okay, your suppliers. Okay, so if you go to the Toyota's factories in Japan, okay, so they have factories, and surrounding the factories, they have the vendors' factories as well. Okay, so they have a very good communication and very very short distance for them to deliver the components to Toyotas. Okay, so when it comes to that, okay, it will improve the overall cost. Okay, so you are not going to use 20 footers or 40 footers of a container. Okay, maybe you just only use a 3 ton of lorry, okay, to supply, because it is not far. Okay, and then it is just in time. Okay, so everything are put in orders. Okay, and you have a clear visibility of the volumes, so you know what you are doing. Okay, so it means that you can reduce the overall cost. Okay, transportation, hiring the logistic peoples. Okay, and then next one, appropriate supplies contract can allow for the sharing of risk. Okay, so this is the thing that I think I did mention to you. The not win-win situation if you compare comparing the RB Highcom and also Volkswagen. Okay, so because Volkswagen they charge the RB Highcoms, okay, once the parts leave the Volkswagen in India or Spain, once the parts leave the factories, the compound, all right, okay, leave it the compound of Indian factories or maybe in Spain factories, everything falls under responsibility of the RB. Okay, if there is anything happens, secondary defects due to the transportation, okay, from port to ship, okay, and a shipping defect, okay, from Spain, let's say for example, to Kuala Lumpur to Port Klang, and then from Port Klang, from ship to the containers, and the containers bring to Pekan Pahang plant. All those kind of secondary defect happen throughout the journey, falls under the RB Highcoms. So that's not a good example of the coordination of sharing the risk. Okay. But then one of the a good example, I think, if you, I don't know, I don't know whether it is a gardenia's roti gardenia's or gardenia bread or hi-fi bread. Okay, if you, let's say for example you have a shop, okay, and then gardenia supply to you some numbers of bread, okay, and then you are not finished that, okay, I think you only have to pay the one that you manage to sell. So the one that you are not managed to sell, you can bring back to the companies or to gardenias, and then the gardenias will change the unsold bread to another food apa nama, another food for the animals. Okay, they change that. Okay, they can take that. And also, if you have a newspapers, I think Area Metro, right? Or Cosmo, Area Metro or Cosmo. If you're if the one of the, let's say for example, Area Metros send the newspaper to you and you're not managed to sell that, so you only get a bit of sharing of profits from what you have sell, and then they can take the one that left behind. But not in the case of, I think, Berita Harian. Okay, not the case Berita Harian. If you have to buy that, how many of newspaper you want to buy, and if you not sell it, then the cost will be bear by you. Okay, so that's how different is it. Okay, so the sharing of risk is different. Okay, so it depends on the policies of each of the companies. Okay, all right. So, and then the other one is firm can achieve a lower purchase price by increasing competition through the use of auction. Okay, so in here also we are going to learn about auction. Okay, all right. So in-house or outsource? I think I have 2 students under my supervision, so they have to prove in-house or outsource. Okay, so I think this is a quite subjective question, right? Because it is depend on the analysis from what you have. Okay, the data from the companies to companies. This is the data from companies to companies. Okay, so third party can increase the supply chain surplus, okay, through various mechanisms as follow. Okay, if you go for the which one, okay, you have to aware what will happen if you go for outsource and what will happen if you go for in-house. Okay, the case of here is you, let's say for example you are planning, right, to go for a third party instead outsourcing. Okay, so and then the things that you have to consider is, number one is capacity aggregation. Okay, aggregate demand across multiple firms and gaining production economies of scale. Okay, all smartphone manufacturers outsource glass manufacturing for their screen. Okay, this is happened today. Okay, if you go for an Apple iPhone, okay, the screen is not made from Apple. Okay, so dia buat daripada mana? What is the third suppliers of the screen of iPhone, guys?
Samsung.
Yeah, Samsung. Okay, Samsung. Good. Okay, so Samsung's they managed to get a contract from Apple's, okay, to do the screen. Okay, same goes to Proton. Okay, same goes to Proton. For the Campro engine, okay, Campro engine, the cylinder head, okay, and the crankshaft, of the Campro. Okay, so who's doing that kind of production and serve proton? I'm asking you. Do you have any idea who's doing that? The crankshaft and also the cylinders.
Is it automotive company, Doktor?
Ya, yeah, automotive company, betul. Siapa?
Mitsubishi?
Oh, tak. Korang mesti terkejut ni.
Lotus.
You're going to surprise on that because the companies who get the contract is Pro2. Okay, Pro2, they do the crankshaft and also the cylinder head for Proton. Okay, so that's a normal thing. You at in a brand, you are competitors. Okay, so Samsung and iPhone, they are competitors. Okay, so and then even people, in advertisement also you can see how they accuse, how they just bashing each of the model, but then in terms of business, they doing this kind of things. All right, so Apple's give contracts to Samsung to do the screen. Okay, and also Proton and Product, the same case. Okay, Proton give a contract to Product to help them to make a cylinder head and also a crankshaft for Proton, Campro cars, Campro engine. Okay, so that kind of aggregation sometimes doesn't make sense, but then it is happen. Okay, in the business. Okay, and same goes to politics, sama je. So you are fighting among you guys, okay, and they are having a cup of coffee together, okay, dekat restaurant, alright. So same goes to that kind of approach. Okay, so we call it as an aggregation. Yeah, and then third parties achieve manufacturing economies that no single smartphone manufacturer can own its own. Okay, so that's what happened. Okay, and same goes to let's say for example BMWs. Okay, so they have the cars that have 1.5 liters engine. Okay, but they are not doing that engine because they don't have an expertise to do a small cc's of engine. So they use a Renault engine, okay, of 1.5 liters. Okay, 3 cylinders, okay, from Renault. Okay, and what else? One of the example. Another example is Lotus. All right, so Lotus, they are not. They don't have any expert in doing a high performance engine. So what they do is they buy an engine from Toyota, okay, and then do a modification, put some supercharged and turbo in the cars, in Toyota's engine, okay, and then name it as a Lotus engine. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay. And then number 2, event-tree aggregation. Okay, first number 1 is capacity aggregation. All right. So you know your capabilities. Okay. So for example, BMWs, they feel that it is not worth for them to invest for a small engine. Okay, so that they just pick and choose whatever available in the market. Okay. All right. So okay, I think I'm going to stop here today. So we stop at the capacity aggregation. 1311. All right. So I'm going to continue this on Wednesday class. All right. So it is quite interesting about regarding in-house and outsource. I'm going to share with you a lot of example, a real example from the industry. And then you are going to amaze and and shock what they did. Okay, all right, in business. Okay, guys. I think thank you very much for your time. Siapa yang tak buat attendance lagi, ada yang attendance tak scan juga. Saya punya attendance ni dah hilang. All right. If you don't have a question or any issues regarding attendance or anything, okay, you may leave the class. And thank you very much, guys. See you on Wednesday. All right.
Doctor,
Oh, yeah.
can I get the attendance?
Section
7.
section 7. Sekejap Saya punya attendance ni dia dah jadi terputus dekat scan je.
Oh,
Dia sekejap.
okay, Doctor.
Sebab tadi dia breakdown sekejap 9. Scan je, memang nampak nama tu tak ada lah, tapi scan je.
Okay, Doctor.
Alright, okay, terima kasih.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Guys. Okay.